Hey everybody, this is Dr. Osborne with a special episode of Pick Dr. Osborne's Brain. I wanted to jump on this evening to talk a little bit about COVID-19 because we keep hearing more and more about this spread. You know, Major League Baseball just postponed, the NBA just canceled their season. Here where I live in Houston, the largest rodeo in the world just canceled. Many of the schools are closing down. A lot of people are panicking. A lot of people are really scared, really nervous or getting nervous about COVID-19 or Corona. So that being said, you know, a lot of us are being told it's the elderly. If you're not an elderly person, you don't really have to worry about whether or not this virus is gonna be a problem for you. And here's the thing, I wanted to reach out to my audience, to my tribe, because most of my audience are middle-aged women, many of which have been diagnosed with some major form of autoimmune diseases like Hashimoto's and rheumatoid arthritis and lupus and psoriatic arthritis and psoriasis and scleroderma and dermatomyositis and ankylosing spondylitis and reactive arthritis. And if I didn't mention your itis or your autoimmune disease, if you've been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, just count yourself amongst these people who, in my opinion, are going to be really at the greatest risk. And here's why. These people, by default, if they're taking medications, are being immunosuppressed. Most of the medicines being used to treat autoimmune disease are biologic medications with known immunosuppressive side effects. Many include the increased risk for the development of different types of infections. So you look on the black box warning of most of these biologics, it says this drug will increase your risk of developing fungal infections, bacterial infections, tuberculosis infections, etc. So when we're talking about a pandemic type of virus and we're talking about strong immune systems are the ones that are probably going to breeze right through this, but then here maybe you're struggling with an autoimmune disease and you're on a biologic medication or on a steroid. Steroids are also immunosuppressive. You know, what is it that you're supposed to do? What is it that you need to be doing right now or thinking about doing in order to protect yourself? Because those of you who are younger, who are being immunosuppressed, really need to be concerned about taking some corrective and taking some preventative behaviors today. So what is it that you should be thinking about doing? Number one, you need to just take good care of yourself. Proper sleep is super critical right now. Nothing is more effective at helping your immune system fight than a good night's sleep and getting adequate sleep regularly. So right now is not the time to stay up, you know, till midnight watching TV. I've talked about this before, that 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. time frame where you should definitely be asleep, preferably longer on either end of that, but a good night's sleep, very critical for immune support. What else should you be focused on? Should be focused on movement and activity. If, you know, depending on how much pain you're in, if you're diagnosed with autoimmune arthritis, you might not be able to go work out at a CrossFit gym, but you can walk, you can move, you can do calisthenics. Keep your body moving. Remember that your lymphatic fluid is part of how your immune system stays strong. The way we get our lymphatic fluid pumping is through the action of muscles. So active movement in the course of the day is going to keep your immune system strong and healthy. Now we're going into spring, which brings me to another point. We've all been bottled up this winter. You know, whether you're 27 degrees north latitude and higher or whether you're down here in the south with me, it's still been a long and kind of dismal winter with very little sunshine and a lot of rain. So that being said, now that spring's coming, when you have that opportunity to get outside and get, you know, that UV light from the sun, there's a lot of immune properties the sun brings to the game. So not just vitamin D, the sun also helps your eyes and your brain produce melatonin that allows you to get a good night's sleep. So we got to get outside and get some sunshine to the tolerance of your skin. If you're, you know, if you're redheaded and freckled and very, very pale, you know, don't go out in the sun for 2 hours. Use your judgment and common sense, but get sunlight every day to the limit of your skin or to the toleration of your skin. Additionally, if you're not considering supplementation right now, I highly recommend supplementation to support your immune strength, to support your immune system. There's certain nutrients I'm recommending. You've probably all seen a lot of the stuff coming out on the internet about some of the researchers in China are now researching IV vitamin C as a potential therapeutic agent to treat COVID-19. There's actually a study that if you go to, I got the link up on our main site page. I'll put a link up below this video when I'm done making it. But there's a study being done right now on IV vitamin C therapy in the U.S. on COVID. So It's actually listed in National Library of Medicine database, and you can look at that. So in essence, the government's really looking strongly at vitamin C as a novel treatment because of its past, because of the past research on it. So, take the hint rather, and if you're not taking vitamin C, it'd be a really good idea right now to help support your immune system, especially those of you again with an autoimmune condition. So vitamin C, my recommendation, generally speaking, as an adult, anywhere between 5 and 10 grams. If you're taking it orally, it's a good amount to take to give you strong immune support. Now, that being said, I'm not advocating that vitamin C is used to treat COVID or prevent COVID virus or to diagnose or to cure COVID. We're just talking about smart, intelligent things you need to be thinking about doing right now to give your immune system the most support it can have, because there is no foolproof. There is not a magic bullet cure. Nothing I recommend or that any other doctor that you're seeing right now that's recommending is a magic bullet cure to prevent you from absolutely getting ill. These are just stopgap measures or things that you can do to minimize or try to give yourself the best chance at keeping your immune system strong right now. So again, 5 to 10 grams of vitamin C. Some people, you can measure how much vitamin C or quantity of vitamin C you can take by your bowels. If you take too much, you're going to have loose bowels. So you can always wean off. If 5 grams is too much for you, you can wean it back to 3 or to 4, whatever works for your bowel. Now remember, vitamin C is best absorbed when you take between 1 and 2 grams at a time. If you take over that, usually you lose some absorption capacity for it, and it has a tendency to loosen your bowels. So if you are going to take vitamin C right now, take it in 1 to 2 gram doses and just split those doses up evenly over the course of the day. So think about, every couple of hours, if you're going to do this, take 1 to 2 grams of vitamin C several times a day to get to that level between 5 and 10 grams. Again, to give yourself good quality immune support. Other things that you should be thinking about doing right now, again, if you have an autoimmune diagnosis, if you are on immunosuppressive medications, is I would strongly consider a good quality multivitamin and a zinc supplement. Now, research has shown, there's studies that show that zinc by itself is less effective. Actually, studies that show that using zinc with a multivitamin actually makes it more effective at reducing the duration of the cold. Now, again, that's the common cold, which can be caused by corona, but not COVID-19. We're not talking specifically about research that's been done on COVID-19. So everything I'm giving you tonight is from my experience, but there are no research studies on COVID-19 treatment or using nutrients as effective treatment because it's too new of a virus. We just don't know. So what I'm giving you are things that you can do that have past studies on things like influenza, on things like just general coronavirus that show them to be effective. And so zinc is one of those that in doses of 70 milligrams or higher that has been shown to reduce the duration of the common cold, especially when taken in conjunction with other nutrients, other micronutrients. So zinc alone, not as effective as zinc in conjunction with other micronutrients. Beyond that, we have things like vitamin A and vitamin D. Very, very powerful. These have actually been shown in a number of research studies to help with recovery and to help support immune function. So, for example, vitamin D has a number of functions around the immune system that it's a very good idea. Coming out of winter, most people are low in vitamin D right now. It's a better idea to have your doctor, if you are going to the doctor, if you have a doctor's appointment scheduled, while you're there, ask him to measure your 25 OHD levels, and if they're low, you definitely want to get on a vitamin D supplement and get your levels up, because vitamin D is very, very critical for immune support and immune regulation. So is vitamin A. Vitamin A's, claim to fame, so to speak, is its role in your barriers. You have several barriers in your body. One of those barriers is your gut barrier, right? It's the immune, or the not the immune, but the lining of the GI tract itself. In order for it to replicate and heal and repair, requires vitamin A. Well, so does the lining of your lungs. So vitamin A is what we call the barrier vitamin. It helps to basically support the ability for your barriers to replicate, heal, repair. So vitamin A is a very important nutrient for your immune system as well. And so I'm hoping that those of you who are listening to this, the best thing that you can do is really, if you've got a good functional medicine doc and you're not worried about super worried about either getting on the phone with them. A lot of, like my office right now, we've closed most of our face-to-face appointments, and we've gone toward kind of a digital conferencing for the time being, just to help reduce people's risk and exposure. But if you've got a good doc who's doing that, it might not be a bad idea to get on a video chat or to get on a phone call and find out if there's any kind of lab that your doctor has available that he can run. It's going to help you identify critical nutritional deficiencies that you might have, that if you correct them now would help your body function better and help your immune system do its job a little bit better. So all that being said, I'm going to open up the floor here for any questions that you have. We'll take just a few minutes. I don't have a terribly long time tonight, but I do want to take a few minutes to answer any of your concerns. Those of you who are out there in our gluten-free tribe, if you're out there and you're, again, I mentioned autoimmune disease, but so celiac disease being one of those, gluten sensitivity, those of you who have gluten sensitivity and are just figuring out about it, and you haven't fully figured out this gluten-free diet thing, you are also at greater risk, because again, with gluten comes malabsorption of vitamins and minerals, and with malabsorption of vitamins and minerals comes a weaker immune system. So you're at great risk too. So if you've got questions, fire away. I'm going to get those answered for you. We'll take another 10 minutes or so to get any questions that are coming in answered. And so let's see here. So Beth is asking, zinc along with what? So zinc along with a good quality multivitamin. Remember, zinc has been shown to be more effective when you add the battery of nutrients. Generally, we don't find zinc in isolation in nature. We find it with other nutrients as well. For example, other minerals and B vitamins. So if you're looking specifically for a multivitamin that you can take, the one I would recommend, there's actually two I recommend. One, because I formulated them, so I know they're good quality. Two, because I know they're absolutely gluten-free, where that's hard to find today in a multivitamin. One is called Ultra Nutrients. The other is called Multi-Nutrients. After the show here, I'll put up some links for you where you can access those. But if you go over to glutenfreesociety.org and just type in the box on the top, Ultra Nutrients or Multi-Nutrients, you should be able to pull those up if you don't want to wait for those links to get posted. Let's see here. Karen, I'm not sure about your question when you say what level of what. If you could clarify, I can get that answer a little bit better for you. What's the best vitamin C? Tracy Luke Beeson. In my opinion, the best vitamin C right now, if we're talking about oral vitamin C, is Detox C. It's another one of my own formulations. The reason why I like it is because in its powdered form, it absorbs very, very readily, very effectively. Now, many of you probably are looking into liposomal vitamin Cs. Look, if you're gluten sensitive, the problem with every version of liposomal vitamin C I've analyzed and looked at, because I like the technology, I just don't like what's being added to the products. Pretty much all of your liposomal vitamin Cs, and again, I can't claim that I've looked at every single one on the market, but all the ones I have looked, from all the major big carriers, have had some variety of corn agent in them. So some type of corn or corn derivative. And again, if you followed me for any length of time and you've read No Grain, No Pain, then you know why I don't recommend corn in your vitamin C or in any of your other vitamins for that matter. So I don't recommend the liposomals because, again, they contain corn. Would they absorb really well? Yes, they would. But you don't want to try to help yourself and at the same time hurt yourself. So Detox C is what I recommend. Again, that's available at Gluten Free Society. If you want to go over there, you can check it out. Leanne wants to know thoughts on things like oregano, olive leaf, and turmeric. I've seen a couple of studies on olive leaf being a good antibiotic, antiviral. Not so much great human studies and large human trials. So it's not something I would really necessarily rely on as a prevention measure. Remember, we're talking more some people will argue that things like olive leaf and oregano you can treat viruses or bacteria with. I would say we don't know. COVID's a different virus. Now so theoretically one might try to apply past research studies about how certain natural agents have been helpful for certain things like influenza A or influenza B or coronavirus, non-COVID coronavirus, right? But I don't know that I would trust this to taking it as a treatment, at least not at this point. I mean, if you get sick, can you use those things? Are they dangerous to use? No, they're not dangerous to use. But the reason why I bring up vitamin C and zinc and vitamin A and vitamin D is because they are tried and true, and they are essential nutrients. Now, what's the difference between an essential nutrient and, let's say, an herbal product that has known antiviral properties? An essential nutrient is a nutrient your body can't function without. So if you don't have enough, your body can't function. Whereas things like oregano or things like olive leaf, those are not requirements for your body to be able to function. So kind of the advice I'm trying to give you is I'm giving it to you because these nutrients are essential, and if you're low in essential nutrients, your body will lose its capacity for functioning, and it won't function to its optimal level. And so what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to get you to an optimal place so that you have the best advantage, with your immune system out there with all the people getting sick. So as far as vitamin A, Aubrey wants to know what kind of vitamin A. There are a number of different formulations of vitamin A. I have something called Ultra A, which is an emulsified form of vitamin A. One of the things about fat-soluble vitamins is generally they're absorbed better when they're emulsified, meaning they're surrounded or micellized so that you absorb them more efficiently. If they're fat, if they're like powdered versions of these things, don't absorb as well, whereas micellized or when you surround them with an oil base and a water adhesive, what that does is it allows your GI tract to absorb them much more efficiently. And so those of you that maybe you have your gallbladder removed, it's a common thing to happen for those with autoimmune disease. If you've had cholecystectomy, like a gallbladder surgery, where you've had your gallbladder removed, you're not going to absorb the vitamin A and the vitamin D if you take them in like a powdered form as well. So taking them in a micellized form or in a fat-soluble or a form where they're going to be absorbed regardless of your gallbladder, that's more ideal. If you want to look at what I've got something called Ultra A, which is pretty effective form for that. Let's see here. How good is elderberry syrup? I love elderberry. I mean, elderberry, there's a lot of lore and research on elderberry being very good for the immune system. So I think it's a great thing, provided you get a version that doesn't have sugar in it. That's the problem with a lot of the syrups is, sugar's an immunosuppressant. A lot of people don't realize that. And one of the reasons why the best advice I can give you is during this time, don't eat sugar. Don't drink alcohol. Don't do things that we know are going to cave the immune system. And so, a lot of people use sugar as a delivery mechanism for elderberry. And I think that's a bad idea. It's one of the reasons why my formula Virid, which has elderberry in it, it's in an encapsulated form. And the reason why is because I didn't want to have a formula where I was giving people sugar and giving them something good and at the same time giving them something bad. So again, we want to do good and not bad. Sarah Marie is asking celiac disease. I don't know what that question specifically means, Sarah, but if you're talking celiac disease, yes, people with celiac disease have an increased risk for problems right now because of their capacity for lowered absorption and digestion of vitamins and minerals. So it kind of depends on where you're at in your stage of diagnosis too. So if you're newly diagnosed and you've got a lot of vitamin and mineral deficiencies, then yes, you're at risk. If you've been diagnosed for 20 years and you've got your diet figured out and you've been grain-free and you've been supplementing and having your nutritional levels checked, then you're not so much as at a great risk as somebody who's newly diagnosed. So it kind of depends on where you are in your journey going gluten-free. Let's see here. Yeah, so a lot of you just chiming in, I was talking about who my tribe is, and a lot of you are talking about, yes, I have RA, yes, I have celiac disease, yes, I have Hashimoto's. So again, that's why I did this special kind of, we'll call it a Thursday night of Pick Dr. Osborne's Brain, because I felt like that wasn't being properly addressed. People with autoimmune diseases were not being properly told to protect themselves as aggressively, and I think that just needed to be said. If you're in remission, if you've had an autoimmune diagnosis in the past and you're now in remission and you're off medications and you're controlling things with diet and you're in relatively good shape, worry less about it. Worry less about being at greater risk is what I should say. Now, if you're on your healing journey and you're still struggling and you've still got symptoms and you're still requiring medications, yes, you should. You should be at risk and you should be taking extra precaution right now. Washing your hands, avoiding public spaces, I'm going to put a link up. Let me do that real quick. I'm just going to grab this link from the feed because this is the special page my team and I created. That give me just a second here because I'm trying to think and type at the same time. Here we go. So I'm going to pop this up in the feed for you. So you should be seeing that. This is just a special page for COVID-19 or coronavirus that we put together. And what we're doing as this whole ordeal evolves, nobody really truly knows what's going to happen here. But as this whole thing evolves, what we're trying to do is just keep everybody updated and abreast of things that they can do, how they can improve their health, what they should be concerned about, how they can prepare for this whole thing. So we put together a page, and right now there's about 3 hours of video content and some infographics and other things that might be really, really helpful for you to have. And if you find that page helpful, make sure you're sharing it. Make sure you copy paste that URL and give it to your family members. Make sure that everybody that you know is being taken really well care of and has the information at hand where they can do the best to optimize themselves and reduce their risk of developing a problem. Lisa wants to know, are diabetics at risk for complications with corona? Yes, absolutely. Just the act of having diabetes. Remember that high blood sugar. I said earlier that sugar is an immunosuppressant. Well, diabetes is when your blood sugar levels in your bloodstream are way too high. And so just the fact that you have elevation in blood sugar, that sugar floating around and circulating in your bloodstream, not getting into your cells properly, increases your risk and increases your risk of complications. So it's very important if you're diabetic, and that's type 1 or type 2 alike, because the problem with type 1 and type 2 diabetes is a sugar issue, whereas type 1 diabetics have the need to inject insulin. It's an autoimmune condition, and type 2 diabetics generally don't have the need to inject insulin, but you have the need to change their diet and to change their lifestyle. So if you're a diabetic right now, again, diet control is very, very important right now. Now, if you're taking metformin or another medication that your doctor has prescribed you, and you change your diet dramatically, and let's say you pick up a copy of my book, No Grain, No Pain, and you start following phase 1 and phase 2 of that diet, you should know that your blood sugar will drop. And if it drops and you're on metformin and you don't know that, your blood sugar could start going too low. So make sure you're monitoring that with your doctor. If you're following my diet protocol from my book, then make sure that you either have a blood glucose monitor at home that you're monitoring, so that as you're following and changing your diet through this time, if your blood sugar is improving and the drug becomes too strong, it doesn't send you into a hypoglycemic state, because that wouldn't be good either. Okay, let's see. So, okay, this is a good question. Brizia wants to know, she's had stomach issues, diarrhea for over 5 days now. Does that lower my immune system? Yeah, I mean, it could. If you've had diarrhea for 5 days, I mean, you're going to be dehydrated, and hydration is one of the things that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. But water and getting adequate water and hydration is very important right now. Your cells need adequate water to maintain their pH and to maintain their functions. So if you've had diarrhea for 5 days, first of all, Bridget, there's a study that just came out of China. I actually just put this link up on that page I just posted to that research study, where researchers in China are now finding that diarrhea, vomiting, nausea, abdominal pain for many people with corona, with COVID, that's the first symptom that they start to manifest or experience. So it's probably a good idea right now, Bridget, that you maybe self-quarantine yourself away from other people and protect yourself and protect others if that's what you've been experiencing. Let's see here. Let's see. Linda wants to know, what's the difference between ultra nutrients and multi-nutrients? The biggest difference is the quantity of vitamin B6. I have the multi-nutrients I formulated for people that have methylation issues but also tend to have vitamin B6 issues. So vitamin B6 issues, if you have vitamin B6 issues, that can manifest as neuropathy. So if you're somebody who struggles with neuropathy, multi-nutrients might be a better choice for you in regard, because it has higher doses of vitamin B6 to support that. Let's see here. Celiac disease and hypothyroid, but non-Hashimoto's hypothyroid. How at risk would I be? Sarah, I don't think anybody can say how, like, here's the percentage of your risk, right? You're 10% more likely or 20. I don't think anybody knows that answer. I think the issue is if you've got, again, understand if you've got autoimmunity, if you've got an autoimmune problem and it's having to be either controlled by medicine that suppresses the immune system, or if it's not being controlled yet through diet and lifestyle choices, now's the time to really aggressively take those diet and lifestyle choices to heart. Now's the time. If anything's going to stimulate you or motivate you to take action, these things should. Because celiac disease is a condition that's fully 100% treatable by diet if you do it right. I mean, this is one of the myths that's out there. There's a lot of doctors say, oh, you have celiac disease, and then they put a stamp on you and now you're a victim, and then they don't really empower you to make any great changes. They tell you, yeah, go gluten-free, but as they're telling you to go gluten-free, they hand you a gift basket of crappy cornbread and rice products that are highly genetically modified and full of sugar. And then if you don't have somebody who's intelligent around nutrition kind of teaching you the ropes around celiac disease, which is if you're celiac and you're malabsorbing and you're malnourished and you have been and you just got a diagnosis, you shouldn't be eating corn and rice products that are full of sugar. That's just not going to help you get healthy. So if you're celiac and you're doing those things, yes, you're at risk. If you're non-celiac and you're eating a bunch of sugar and garbage, you're also at risk, right? So, but if you've got pre-existing autoimmune disease for years, that's where the greater risk comes in, because now the malabsorption and the maldigestion that comes along with a history of celiac disease puts you it puts you at a greater risk because you've had that problem for a longer period of time, whereas somebody who maybe just eats bad once in a while but doesn't have that active autoimmune disease, they're not going to be at as great of risk because they don't have the long-standing history of malnourishment. Vitamin C is best taken several times per day. If you I said earlier, 5 to 10 grams, and if you take 10 grams all at once, you're probably going to have diarrhea. If you take 5 grams at once, you're probably going to have loose bowels or stomach gurgling. So it's best to split the dosing up over the course of the day. Keep it under, usually I try to tell people, keep that dose under 2 grams or less. And if you're gonna get up to higher doses, split that dose out over several hours. So if you take 2 grams at 8 a.m., then maybe try taking another 2 grams at 11 and another 2 grams at 2, right? And just space that dose out over the course of the day. So Beth Ann wants to know, why middle-aged women? That's a great question, and this is not to be prejudiced against middle-aged women. It's because middle-aged women are the most likely to have autoimmune disease. If we look at the number one cause of death in women below the age of 65 is autoimmune disease. And one of the reasons that's the case is because of the course of the disease, but one of the other reasons why that's the case is the course of the medications that are used to treat the disease also can have side effects of death. If you look at biologic drugs, I think a recent study showed that just since, I want to say, don't quote me on this, but I want to say 2004, 2006, there have been 36 or 34,000 deaths caused by biologic medications. So the actual medicines being used to treat the people with autoimmune disease are actually killing, tens of thousands of people. And so those people are at greater risk because they're more likely to have autoimmune disease. Women are more likely to have autoimmune diseases. That's unfortunately that's one of the hallmarks of autoimmune disease and one of the risks. And so again, it's not fair, but that's just the way it is. Let's see here. Michelle says, this has caused mass hysteria. Is this kind of stress on the world going to have an impact on all health? It is. That's part of why I'm doing this show with you as well, is because there is a mass hysteria that's going on right now. Should we be having the panic that we're having right now? Should schools be closing? Should events be canceling? Nobody knows the answer to that. I think a lot of it is a little bit of panic and a little bit of possibly being overly cautious, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're being justified in their caution. The fact of the matter is we really don't know. What's going on in China. We're on the other side of the world. Are we being told in an accurate way, in an accurate format, what actually is happening in China? Some people argue that we're not. Some people argue that we are. I don't think anybody really truly knows. I think there's a lot of speculation, and speculation can create hysteria. So what I'm trying to do with all of you tonight is just give you some guidance so that you don't have to speculate so much. If you take care of your own and take care of your business at home and take care of yourself, then you speculate less, and you put yourself in a better position to protect your body from any type of illness, not just COVID-19, but from any type of illness. And that's the best that we can do. That's really all we can do, because it doesn't do us all good to sit at home and stress 24/7 about this illness. But it does do us good to be prepared. And the old saying goes, chance favors the prepared, right? So if you are prepared, then the likelihood that you need to be less worried is much better, and the odds in your favor of whether or not you're actually going to get sick is also much better. Some of you are still looking for that link. So I'm just going to put that back up in the feed because the questions are coming in faster than I can scroll through them. I said I'd only spend 10 more minutes, and we're now 20 minutes in, but I'm going to answer a few more before I've got to run. Let's see here. I think I answered some of these already. Leslie wants to know what can I do for my 20-year-old son who just started Remicade. The best thing you can do is love him and support him. He's an adult, so he chose to start Remicade. That's his choice. If you can tell him what the risks are and what the dangers are, and hopefully his doctor prescribing the medication gave him an informed consent conversation about the risk factors involved with taking something like Remicade. But that's, anytime and this is something for all of you. I know you all have loved ones that you care about, and it's not your job to make their decisions for them. It's your job to be there and love them and support them. And if they're making decisions that maybe you wouldn't make, it's still their decision to make. It's still their life to live, and all you can do is really just try to support them the best that you can. And the reason I say that is because if he's 20 years old and started Remicade, and he's not at all interested in natural alternatives or not at all interested in diet change, then trying to pressure him to make that decision is not going to help his health. It's just going to him out more, and it's just going to jeopardize the relationship that you have. The best thing that you can do, and again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Leslie, but the best thing that you can do is plant the seed of natural and diet change and lifestyle change, and hope that they come around to that. And the second best thing you can do is lead by example. Just lead by, you do what you would want them to do, and when they see you being the shining beacon of good health, then they're more likely to engage with you in the conversation about how they can improve their own health. So it's really all you can do. That's all anyone can do. Oh, I like this one. Jan says, if a person is sent home to self-quarantine, how do you protect others in the household? The best way to protect others in the household is have that person, when they self-quarantine, is to have them in their own room. Now, depending on what you have in terms of air filtration, some people use ozone devices in their home. Ozone can help in the air. It can help scour the air a little bit. So if you've got good air filtration, make sure that that's working in that sick person's room where you're trying to scrub the air. Because unlike a hospital that has an air scrubber, your house, most of our houses probably have one central air duct system, and the air pulls to all rooms and goes from all rooms. So having a good ozone generator set at a low level can be helpful in that regard. Additionally, is other people in the house shouldn't be going in and out of that bedroom. You should have one person really designated as a caretaker for that person. And so the way I would suggest that it's done is, in terms of food, hopefully that person that is sick has a bathroom in their own room. They can be kind of quarantine themselves into the bedroom with a bathroom. And then beyond that, you can put food by the door, set food by the door, and pick up empty plates as they come back. And just make sure that you're wearing gloves and practicing really great hygiene by washing your hands when you handle items that come from that room. So that's really the best that you can do if somebody's at home with you in a self-quarantine situation. Okay. Last question. Gayla wants to know, I had my gallbladder removed and have celiac disease. What type of vitamin do I take? Gayla, the best kind of vitamin you can take, again, one of the multivitamins from Gluten Free Society would be what I would recommend, just simply because we know they're certified gluten-free and they're high quality. And that's going to be either ultra nutrients or multi-nutrients. And let's just see here. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to put up I'll try to put that link up before we wrap it up here, and get that up there for you, because I think 4 or 5 of you have asked that question tonight. So let's see here. Here it comes. Multivitamin. I'm just going to headline multivitamin for celiac, and you should see that coming up in the feed. Here it comes. There you go. So I just posted that into the feed, Gayla. Okay, folks, I got to wrap it up. My family needs me too, but I wanted to spend a little bit of time with you, helping you to understand that those of you, females and males alike, who have autoimmune disease, who are taking immunosuppressive medications, and those of you who are doing that are at a greater risk, and you should take extra precautions right now to minimize your risk of getting exposure, or if you do get exposure and you do come down with it, to help you to recover better by just, again, taking really good care of yourself right now. So if we summarize kind of the action steps you should be thinking about taking: number 1, don't eat sugar, don't drink alcohol, eat real food. Make sure that your food is very, very important right now. Number 2, make sure you get lots of sleep. Stay well rested, don't stay up too late. The time frame to heal and repair is 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Sleep longer on both ends of that time frame, but very, very critical. If you can, if the weather's permitting you to do it, get outside, get some sunshine. There's a lot of healing properties to sunshine that get dismissed because a lot of the dermatologists have scared people out of the sun for fear of skin cancer. Remember, the rule on sunshine is get sunshine to the limit of your skin's ability to tolerate it without burning, and get it often. And then number 4, if you're not supporting your immune system right now, you probably ought to think about doing that. My top recommendations for immune support, certain vitamins and minerals as opposed to herbals and other products that contain lots of herbals. And the reason why is that vitamins and minerals are essential for body function. You need them for your body to be able to work. Herbals don't fall into that same category. So in that regard, making sure you have adequate vitamin C and zinc and vitamin A and vitamin D, very, very important right now. Also, make sure your protein levels are high enough. There's one particular amino acid that has some pretty good research on it. And it's research not with COVID-19, but research on influenza virus. And I want to be clear, I want to be very, very clear that there's no studies that show that taking NAC prevents or reduces or stops you from developing COVID-19. But there's really good solid research that shows that NAC at higher doses reduces the duration and the symptomatology and the recurrence rate of influenza. There have been research studies that have shown that. And NAC is an amino acid. Again, it falls under the category of conditional essentiality, meaning your body needs more of it under certain conditions. And so you get NAC. You can get NAC from cruciferous vegetables. You can get NAC from eggs. You can get it from supplementation. You can get it from ensuring that you have adequate protein coming into your diet right now. So again, just those are my top tips for you. Make sure you're taking them to heart, and we'll see you again on Monday night, same time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, for another episode of Pick Dr. Osborne's Brain. Take care of each other. I love you all, and we'll see you next week.